Hola everyone, welcome, bienvenidos. My name is Karla Solórzano and today we're talking about wedding videography. And with me is Miguel Garcia from Miguel Garcia Studios. Hi Miguel, welcome, bienvenido.
Hi Karla, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So today we're going to talk about videography. And I want you to tell us a little bit more about you and how was that transition from you to doing whatever you were doing to being a videographer?
Yeah, it started back for me in high school when I took my first photography class. I was a photographer first before videographer. It was black and white film back then. We loaded our own film, we developed it, printed it, and I really fell in love with it. So my first job in high school as a senior was at a portrait studio. I ended up working at this portrait studio for about 7 years. I became a manager I don't know, probably 3 or 4 years into it. And I was managing a staff of about 30 employees. We did a lot of like family portraits, baby portraits, graduations, you name it, we did it. And so that's where my passion and love for photo really started. And it started to kind of spark the business side of things and how to run things as I was managing. But yeah, so I worked from there. I managed 3 studios in San Diego. So the opportunity came and I moved to San Diego and I opened up 3 studios for this company. But even back then, I never really thought I could run my own business. I mean, I was kind of doing it for somebody else at this time. And it wasn't until years later that I actually realized that I could do it on my own. Back then, it wasn't very popular to be an entrepreneur. No. So this was like, 9 years ago, 10 years ago when I started my business 9 years ago. Wow. So this was more like 15 years ago when I was working for this other portrait studio, and it was almost not for everybody to be an entrepreneur. You either had to like be really good at it, you had to have the money, or at least that's what I thought, in order to be successful. And so it wasn't until until 9 years later where I stopped working for that company and I was just kind of doing different types of jobs. I actually lost my job as a manager at another portrait studio because I wasn't really, it was more management and it was more paperwork and it wasn't at all what I originally started doing. So I really lost my passion for it. And this was like 8 years later. So it went, many years of being fun and good and learning to going more towards the paper side of management and training and developing training programs, which wasn't really my thing. I really liked having the camera in my hand. Yeah. So I actually got let go from my job. And for 3 years, I didn't really, I actually sold my camera gear and everything because I didn't want anything to do with it. And it wasn't until I started doing with my iPhone photos and videos for my church at the time. And so I started editing. And then I did 1 wedding 9 years ago. And then from that wedding, I did 2 more that same year. The next year, I did 16 weddings. The year after that, which would be my 3rd year, I went to 30 weddings. Wow. And so by that time, I had gone from my iPhone to a regular
I hope.
camera. And so it was the starting of the business back then, how I got into it.
Wow. And what was it? Because you said you started with photography, right? What was it that made you fall in love with videography more than photography?
Yeah, so videography for me, it was a different way to document. So for photo, it was a lot of directing. And for weddings, video, my style, I know there's still different styles where you do a lot of directing and for my style, it was more of just capturing the day as it happens naturally. And so it was cool because I was kind of like a fly on the wall. We hear that term a lot, but it really allowed me to do that, just to capture the day, to be there with my camera and then to tell the story afterwards without really having to be so involved verbally.
Right. Yeah, I love that. And now that you mentioned documenting, that brings me to my next question, which is, you know, a lot of couples really overlook hiring a professional videographer. Some of them don't really think about it when they're doing their budget, because it's
Yeah.
like, you know, it's really overlooked, and it makes me sad, really, because I love the videos. So what do you think is important to have a videographer, especially a professional videographer, not your friend taking a video?
Yeah. Yeah. So I made a list for this question.
Okay.
I'm just going to answer them and make it hopefully a little fun for the viewers. The top three
Perfect.
reasons is that video allows you to relive the day the way photography doesn't.
Yes.
And so I'll start off with number 3, I guess. Audio. Audio is the main reason how we're able to do this, because you're able to hear parts of the day that you can't with photos or any other medium. Number 2 is you get the full ceremony and full toast. So these 2 things are probably what my clients get and order the most, besides like their main video, because they get to see their full ceremony from beginning to end. So they get to see grandma walking down the aisle. They get to see dad walking the bride down the aisle. They get to hear their vows.
Yes.
So from beginning to end, I can edit that ceremony part, and they get, you know, they don't miss a thing. Because when you're in it, you know how fast the day goes.
It's a blur, yeah.
It's a blur. And so being able to hear it and see it is just, it's amazing. It's a good way to relive your ceremony. And of course, the toasts. The toasts are so fun. Your friends are saying, you know, memorable stories about you, and your parents, you know, are just either crying or they're joyful, they're joking around, whatever they say. But yeah, they get to hear the toast from beginning to end as well. And so that was number 2. Number 3 is you can easily watch on your phone or your TV. Unlike photos, you just hit play on the video, you sit back with your husband and wife, you know, and you could just watch the whole video play over again of your wedding day. And so some people just, you know, they just tell me how they watch it every year on their anniversary, or, you know, they have watch parties and they invite all their friends back over to their house that they were there at the weddings, and they watch it together. And it's just so easy to watch it on a big screen and just, you know, hit play, you sit back, and it just plays like a mini movie.
Yeah, I love it. It's so true. Like, yes, photos are important, and I also think couples need to hire a professional photographer.
Absolutely.
But the video, we're reliving the wedding. You usually don't remember anything about the wedding when it's done, because it's just so fast. So you're so right. Yeah, I love all your reasons. They're good. I'm gonna steal those. You know, maybe a blog or something.
Take them. So the second part, I didn't answer. The reason why you want a professional, though, is the peace of mind that you get knowing that your video is going to be covered from beginning to end professionally. So that means, you know, I'm going to show up the day of your wedding with a smile, with all my gear. You're not going to have to worry about, you know, me not showing up. We answer your emails and your phone calls in a quick fashion, you know, where somebody that's not a professional, just starting off, or maybe they're doing, you know, 1 or 2 other businesses on the side, you know, they might, you know, not be able to answer as quick. And the other one is you get your wedding film that you get to watch over and over again. So basically, you're going to love your wedding film.
Yes.
You know, I've been doing this for so long. I know the important parts. I know how to capture them. I know, you know, to include them in the video. And so they're going to be happy with their video when they hire a professional videographer, because, you know, of all these, basically the experience that you're paying the person that's going to film your wedding, they're going to, you know, it's going to come through in all that they do.
Yeah, for sure. And usually also, and that happens also to me as a planner, when the couple hires me for a day off, they just think it's day off, 10 hours, that's it.
Yeah.
It's not like that for any of us. So for you as a videographer, it's not the 8 hours you're going to shoot a video. It's more than that. It's the meetings you like at the beginning. It's the shooting. It's the second shooter if you have one. It's the editing. It's everything. So let's explain a little more about that process to the couples when they hire you. What's your process?
Yeah, my process is really simple. So you tell me if you want to go into it deeper. Okay. But honestly, they just email me through my website. They fill out the inquiry form. I just need to know their names, their date, their venue location. And I like to hear about their love story. So there's a little section on my website that says, tell me your story. Yeah. And that really gets me to know who they are, how they, got engaged, or how he proposed, or, just all that is really helpful. So anybody who's watching this, fill that part out, because it's so important to us to read that and to kind of get a vibe of, the couple. Yeah. So once they fill that out, honestly, I just do everything online. So they just sign the contract, they pay the invoice. And then the last part is we have a call 2 weeks before their wedding to go over their timeline. So I don't require, if you notice, meeting them in person, talk to them over the phone. That's just my way of doing things. Right. I know a lot of other vendors, they need to meet in person. They need to talk on the phone. I was married 4 years ago, or it's going to be 5 years next month that I was married. And to get my wife and me on the same schedule and to meet with the vendor was really hard. So I know how hard it is, you know, and so I try to take that part away from when clients try to book me. That's great. So I make it optional. Obviously, I love to talk to them in person, but sometimes they live so far away, we can never pick out a good date. So I offer, Zoom chat, and we talk over Zoom. But honestly, most of the time we just talk on the phone, maybe like, 15, 30 minutes, and that's it. So awesome. I really want to make it simple for them, and that's my style. Right. Yeah. And then when you, how long does it take for you to the edit process? Because if you're shooting for 8 hours, you have a lot. Yeah, and it's not just me shooting, it's a second shooter, and sometimes we have a third person as well. So we could have up to like 5 cameras in a day when you include, like a drone footage and all that. So the process, it's between 6 to 12 weeks. It's what I tell my clients, depending on when they get married. If they get married, in the beginning of the year or at the end of the year, they're going to get it a lot quicker because it's not as busy. Right. For us, we're busy from June to probably about October is where we have, the majority of our weddings, and we're doing, weddings probably every weekend, sometimes, more than that. Last couple weeks ago, I did 3 weddings in 4 days. So that's what kind of happens in the busy time of the year. So for those couples, it'll probably take more like 10 to 12 weeks, where the other couples, they would get it a lot quicker. Right. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, the editing process, we go through all the footage, we go through all the audio, we pick out the best parts, and that's the part that we include into the video edit. Yeah, yeah, it's a long process, I know. So when couples are researching for a videographer, is it, I'm going to play here like I don't know anything. Is it the same as photography? Like, is there different styles for different videographers, different editing styles? How do you not know, Karla? I'm just kidding. Yes, that's a really good question. I'm actually really happy that you are talking about this, because for video, I think the last couple of years, it's become more and more, what's the word? Style of the look has really become more important. And so different videographers have different styles, just like photographers. So my style, for example, would complement a film photographer. So it's, a little brighter, more natural colors. I don't use, heavy filters when I edit, or, we call them LUTs, but they're basically ways that we color our film. And so I tried to make sure that the greens are green, the skin tones are as natural as possible, and that, everything looks clean. That's my style of editing. And so there's, definitely different styles of editing, but also different styles of I mean, there's different styles of editing look and different styles of editing the video. So for example, there's other videographers that do more like a fun video. They do like not very much audio. It's more like a lot of interaction with, the bridal party, with the bride and groom. And so their video is going to come out a lot different than where my video is more dependent on the audio. So it's more like I call it documentary storytelling. So, it's kind of like almost like a movie. That's basically my goal when I edit a video, is I try to make it look like a movie. So it has dialogue that we could hear, and it has, cinematic shots, and it has, some beauty shots of the bride, the flowers, but mostly, the story of, them getting married in the wedding day.
Yeah, I love it. There are a lot of couples that they feel awkward, that they're not used to posing or stuff like that, and then if a couple comes and tells you like, I don't want that video that is all romantic and cheesy because it's not my style.
Yeah.
Can you adapt to their personality?
Yeah, so that's what we cover on our phone call that I mentioned 2 weeks before the wedding. So at that point, not only do I go over their timeline and make sure that, we all know what's going on the day of the wedding. One of the things that I always ask is, are you guys going to have special gifts for each other? Are you doing a special dance for each other? Because a lot of times there's surprises that are not on the timeline.
No.
I know you know.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden we're like, whoa, we didn't
what
know
just happened? Yeah.
So I always ask that 2 weeks before when I have them on the phone. And that's really when I get a vibe of them as a couple. And like you said, are they going to be uncomfortable? I ask them, how they are in front of camera, if, they prefer not as much. Posing and directing, which I do mostly with the bride and groom, or the couple. After, the ceremony is usually when we go with the photographer and we do a lot of, we call them romantic shots. Basically, it's the couple together. And that's the only time I really do directing. So it's basic stuff. Like I asked them, hold hands, kiss each other, walk, looking at each other, looking out, things that will naturally, or you would think, as you're walking, you naturally look at each other, you kind of are looking around. So I don't really require them to like do something that's too out of the ordinary.
Right. Right.
But yeah, at that point, if they tell me, that they're not as comfortable doing those things, then I can adapt very easily and minimize those shots. I still film the whole wedding the same way.
Right.
So that is the only part, which is probably like 10% of the video, maybe less. That's going to be a little bit different. So that's not a big portion for me to include something else. I might include, more of the ceremony. If they do personal vows, it's always good to have that.
Yeah.
Or some of them are really into, especially right now. I think it's important to talk about, COVID and small weddings that we're doing. They're totally different. They're much more smaller. They're much more intimate, and their family and the real important people are the ones that they really care to have on video. And so to me, we film, that whole time that they're doing family portraits. And so I'm able to include that, for example, rather than a lot of romantic shots. So there's always ways of completing the film and still making it look really good without, taking away if, a couple's has a certain request or a different style. So yeah, definitely.
Right. And how do you determine how many videographers you bring into a wedding? Is it by the number of guests? How does that work?
Yeah, so I always include 2, except if it's like an elopement or something that's like super small. If it's just the bride and groom and the officiant and maybe the parents, then I might just do that by myself. But honestly, even for those, I'll try to get 2 people. And it makes it easier for me to get the footage that I need without having to be everywhere at once.
Yeah.
Especially since we're handling audio and making sure we have microphones on the officiant, on the groom. Sometimes we put backup mics. We have to, coordinate with the with the venue. So if it's a church, or we're outdoors, that takes, you know, a good amount of time to set up. So I always have to have two. If they absolutely only want one, then I find a way to work that out. I mean, when I first started, it was just me, so I'm shooting by myself. That's not a big thing, but of course, I'd rather have it where it's, you know, a lot easier for us to be everywhere that we need to be. If it's more than 150 guests, then I'll bring in an assistant. I mean, I've done weddings up to like 500 guests, and so for that, it would be more like a third shooter. At that point, because with so many guests, it's hard to move around, especially at the reception. So having a third person, you know, doing my lights, doing the audio, or doing the drone makes it easier for myself and the second photographer to get the basic shots that we normally would get throughout the day.
Right.
So I don't think I've ever done anything bigger than 500, but
well, that's a lot of people.
Yeah, I did do a 4-day wedding, and that one we had 4 people on my team. So it was a Thursday. The couple did like a beach day. So it was like friends and family at the beach. They had food, they had jet skis. Friday was the rehearsal dinner. Saturday was a full day, 14 hours wedding. So that day I split up my team. So it was like 2 of us in the morning. And then all 4 at the second shift, I call it shift, came in, you know, like for the ceremony. So all 4 of us were there for the ceremony. And then, about 8, 9 o'clock, after like all the toasts and the formalities, it was only 2 other videographers that stood for like, they had an after party.
Wow.
They had like a special DJ come in, and it was a full-on after party. So they filmed that, and you really don't need, you know, that many people at that point. But and then Sunday they did like their thank you brunch. And so that required definitely more than 3 people, because I just had to, you know, it was also all at different locations. The ceremony, it was a big property, and so we had to be at different parts of this big property, and it was all by golf carts that we could get around. So we couldn't drive, we couldn't walk because it was so far away. So having 4 people definitely helped for that.
Yeah, that was a festival. That wasn't a wedding.
It was a very fun wedding. It was beautiful, right on it was a private beach in Santa Barbara. So
I love that.
Yeah, everybody that was there for that wedding, they were just treated, you know, to a great weekend.
I love that. Miguel, is there anything else you would like to add to let our couples know, something else that you think is important when hiring a videographer?
Definitely ask questions. The style to me is the most important. Know your style before you talk to a videographer. So go on YouTube, go on Vimeo. Those are where we videographers are posting our work. And so when you find somebody, like obviously Instagram as well. Instagram, you know, doesn't allow us to post full videos unless it's on IGTV. So that's why I recommend YouTube or Vimeo. But once you found somebody on Instagram, then jump over to their YouTube, their Vimeo, check out a couple of their wedding videos, look at their coloring, look at their style of editing. And once you see that and you determine, you know, a couple different ones that you like, interview them, talk to them. It's part of the process. We're used to it as, you know, vendors, as videographers, and make sure you have your questions, and all the questions that you ask are great ones for them to write down and for them to ask us when they talk to us. So that way they know who's going to show up at their wedding and how their wedding video is going to come out. So having somebody with you the day of your wedding is real important, but it's more important to have somebody that's going to give you that peace of mind. That way you don't have to worry about things the day of your wedding, and you could just worry about getting married and everything, you know, everybody that you're hired doing what you're expecting them to do. Yeah,
I love that. 2 more questions that are not videography or wedding related. What is your favorite food?
My favorite food? Oh gosh. Okay, so definitely pizza.
Okay.
Love pizza. We'll do a food and a dessert. Is that okay?
Yeah, of course.
So it's not really a dessert, but I like acai bowls.
Acai bowls are the best. Yes.
Yeah, so the first time I had one was in Hawaii, and it just blew my mind. We were eating them every day over there. And I came back, and then it was like not as easy to find over here, but now there are like more places. But yeah, I love the fruit. I love the granola. I love the coldness. So yeah,
So
those
fresh.
two things. Yeah, if it was my birthday, then those are the two requests that I would have.
Oh,
Pizza,
okay.
acai bowl.
I'm gonna write it down.
Yeah.
How about your favorite cocktail or your favorite drink?
I actually don't drink.
Okay, so your favorite drink of like you.
My favorite drink, yeah, it's definitely green tea.
Green tea, like
So,
matcha.
Also on my birthday, that's what those three things I need to have.
Okay.
Pizza, acai bowl, and green tea.
Green tea. Okay. Noted. When is your birthday?
So I love, it's March.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, green tea, I'll take it in the winter time. I drink it hot. In the summertime, I like it iced. Sometimes I put flavoring on it. I really make it myself here at home. So sometimes I put honey in it. I like to drink it pretty plain and just, no sugar, but I'll mix it up. But definitely, yeah.
That sounds good.
I have one in the fridge right now that.
Waiting for you.
Yeah, waiting for me after this.
That's nice. Where can people find you, Miguel, if they want to reach out to you or ask questions?
Miguel Garcia Studios on Instagram. So miguelgarciastudios.com is my website, Instagram as well, and YouTube as well.
Perfect. I'll put the links on the description down here so people can just click on it and get to you if they have questions, if they want to see your work, which is beautiful.
Thank you, Karla.
Thank you so much, Miguel. I hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for your time, and we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye. Gracias por tuning in. If this video was valuable for you, make sure to like and comment below. And of course, subscribe. See you next time. Bye.